Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody. Thank you so much to tune in and check out our shows again. Today we have our special guest, Mr. Andrea. Hi, Andrea, how's you doing?
Correct.
So the show is all
Hi,
about
guys.
him, and we would love to hear more about Andrea, how he doing, what he doing, and what he love about. So Andrea, would you please share with us a bit about yourself and what you doing?
Yeah, totally, Vivian. And Vivian, no, thank you so much for inviting me to your show, to the program. So I'm very excited to have this conversation with you. About me, where shall we start? But I would say let's start with what I do. So essentially, I'm an executive coach, leadership advisor, primarily involved with the C-suite executives in medium, large organizations when they need to drive change and drive innovation, getting better ideas and results from their own team. Essentially, is developing an healthy organization. That's what I normally do in supporting primarily the CEOs, but the C-suite executives in doing that. So healthy organizations for the future. My story is quite interesting because I've been doing this now for almost 4 years. But before that, I've been a corporate leader myself. So I've been a corporate leader, working up to the ranks for almost 20 years, and but in a very different scenarios and contexts and countries. I work in 7 different countries all over the world, and I had some amazing experience working across Africa, North Africa, Middle East, Scandinavia, Europe, and London, where I'm now. So I've been living in London since 2013. So I bring all this international experience, knowledge, insights, stories to my clients because you need that. You need to go through past stories, cases, in order to understand how to address better, the current issues that CEOs are living right now, especially now they're going, as you said, guys, going through all this uncertainty and challenges that we have been facing from a health perspective, but also from a business and financial standpoint, now that we are facing such a big crisis. So uncertainty normally leads to frustration, leads to a decreased level of performance. So my work is trying to help the CEOs to get back on track.
Wow. Thanks a lot for sharing that, Andrea. Speaking with the people in the C office already scary to a lot of people. Now your job is to helping them, so it's even more scary. so, so we're gonna explore in that part at a later time. But let me and Vivian bring you to the younger version of Andrea when you were young. When I was young, I wanted to be an astronaut, and Vivian wanted to become a singer. And
Wow.
then yeah, and it never happened to both of us though. So so Andrea, when we were young, did what was your dream of one day when you grow up? What kind of jobs you're gonna do? What kind of life you're gonna have? Things like that. Can you share?
Yeah, so you will be laughing now, but when I was a kid, a very, very young age, I want to be a pope. So, something very simple to achieve as a personal ambition. So I don't know, I was crazy, I was young, I was a baby probably, but that maybe tell you the level of ambition I had at the time. So, it's not really about the role, the position, but of course what the Pope maybe personalized is the fact that you can make an impact. You can make an impact on people's life. So that's why I had this crazy dream to become a Pope. But then very, very soon after, I realized that was not really a career for me. So, but I wanted to become a scientist. So that was my first real ambition. So I decided to study something very interesting, by the way, so volcanology. So I'm a geologist by education, so I study on volcanoes, so I learn how volcanoes work and operate, which is very fascinating. I spent most of my time when I was studying university on different areas around the world, understanding how volcanoes work. So the geologists. I was so intrigued about science and the geologists. And then gave me a great opportunity. So as soon as I finished that, I decided to start working as a career, as a scientist, as an engineer, so primarily related to the field of my study.
And then how the journey evolved to next after that?
Yeah, it's you will probably what you will realize very soon now is my career, my story has had a lot of sliding doors, a lot of opportunities come on my way, and then I decided to jump on this opportunity instead of pushing back. So after a career as an engineer, as a geologist, and I work again in such amazing part of the world, I I then moved out my rank. I became a manager and then a director and then a C leader too myself. So I did all my things, all my steps. I took all my steps. But then what I realized is, guys, is in 2018 I had a sort of epiphany essentially. So I thought, what can I do differently that can make a bit bigger impact and I can be, more connected and aligned with myself. So there was a pivotal time for me because I realized that all the career, all the success I had for 20 years was amazing, but wasn't really going to make me fulfilled. And there was, as you know, guys, is a problem because if you do something and you don't feel 100% right with yourself, aligned with yourself, you feel that something is missing anyway in your life, right?
Yeah.
So, and the epiphany was, I actually back to the example, to the story about being a pope, etc., but was how can I help people? How can I empower people to become better person? And I've been through situations at work in my previous corporate career that were educational, really educational, in a good but also bad way. So I had maybe bad bosses. I dealt with very challenging situation and context. I live in countries where democracy wasn't there. I had, all these difficult challenges or going through my career, and then I said, now it's time to share this with others and empowering others to make sure that other people, they don't maybe make the same mistake I made, or maybe they can get an easier solution to the problem that they're having, rather than, as I did, spending 20 years, going through all these challenges. They've been, by the way, at the end of the day, it's been very educational, great for me. But now I thought, well, I'm still young, so I still have the time to transfer all these experiences to my knowledge, to the insights, to other people. And that was the epiphany. So, and when I thought about that, so what is going to be the career that is going to really allow me to bring back these ideas to others, these thoughts, this experience I had, this expertise I earned during all this life. And then I decided consciously that coaching was the right career for me for that specific reason. But I didn't want to be a life coach because I'm a business guy. So I thought, well, it's a shame not using that business experience. So I decided to do executive coach. So I decided to study in the US for a certification executive coaching to understand more about the practice, how that works. And in very few months, I got certified, and very, very quickly, I started getting new clients. I started working on as a coach. And if I look back 4 years ago, it's incredible the journey I've been through, very successful. And I think there are some good reasons why I've been successful. It's not just because I'm good, just because maybe there are some other conditions. But I'm going to stop here. So that's essentially has been the evolution of Andrea in his career.
Wow, how nice! So even when you were young, want to be the pop, right? But then it didn't happen. But the young version of Andrea always talk to the current version of Andrea. So one day you travel the world, you see the good, the bad, and the ugly, and then you decided to ask yourself the question, and reconnecting the dream that you had when you were young. So it was there all day long. It just like been it's in like buried through the tasks and the works and the life that we've been having. So I'm great that you had that self talk to yourself in 2018 and ask the big questions that transforming you to doing something more meaningful to your life and make it more fulfilling. And the thing is that it's very brave of you to decide to stop everything as an executive and then start everything from as a fresh point. I have a lot of friends who are executive also like you are, and then the thing that they always concern when they got retired is that they all told me that they should have could have start their own business when they were younger. All right, but
Mm.
and that is the regret that a lot of them been carry in their shoulder when they retire. So back in 2018, what did you give to yourself to stop doing the executive functions and then start everything from scratch though?
So first of all, you said something very, very important. No, is the courage, having the courage of taking unconventional actions and steps for your future, regardless your current stability, and most importantly, your comfort zone, right? Because when you're an executive, normally you have a good pay, salary, you are you have what you need essentially to have a good life. So just the fact that you want to challenge yourself and going to the next level, regardless of the stability and comfort that you have created for yourself, he speaks, I think, highly about someone, because it's like you feeling that there's not enough. You need to go to another level, because otherwise you will never be happy. So I think I've been able to face that important question that I ask myself is, am I happy, and I will be always happy by doing so, or I need to do something different. So in other words, I think I always had that, but I turn a sense of urgency of improving, on getting better, to a specific idea, and then I said, let's go. And of course, I didn't start, I didn't leave anything there, and then I started from scratch. It was a little transitional time with the current work I was doing. But I think the fact is, I always say to my clients, if you really want to get to another level, you need to really start challenging yourself and not getting complacent with the results that you achieved so far. Because as soon as you get complacent, essentially you stop learning, you stop understanding more about you, you stop developing more yourself, you essentially stop growing. So and I had this sense of urgency to say, I don't want to be like many others. They don't, they get complacent, they stop learning. I don't want to do that. So I think what was a difficult choice, but at the end of the day, if I look back, I said that was the most important choice I made in my life, because of course, when you work on your own as an entrepreneur, you still have those days where you feel, everything is wrong. Why you did that? I should never have left the corporate world. But at the end of the day, if everything aligns, your mind, your body, your thoughts, etc., it's gonna work out. It's gonna work for you. But again, not everyone is happy to make their choice. Not everyone is happy to challenge themselves and get outside of the comfort zone. Myself, I've been outside of my comfort zone for my entire life, because all the decisions I made, all the countries I visited, all the choice, even a career decision I made, they've been always very risky. Always very risky. So for me, it's quite natural developing this tendency or attitude to take risks than maybe other people. But at the end of the day, the question is, if you're not happy with yourself, with your life, you have to take the risk. You have to take the jump and do it, regardless whether you don't feel ready, because you will never feel ready anyway. So when you start a business, you are essentially valueless to some extent, because you have to build everything from scratch, as you say, correctly. But then if you think a little bit more about yourself and your story and what you learn in your life, then you will quickly realize that there is a much more in yourself, in what you know, that is going to allow you really to develop something from scratch. But you need to believe to yourself, first of all, and you need to believe that confidence will come. Confidence, by when you start something new, you will never be confident. You will never feel confident, because you are doing something new. It could be a new business, a new career, a new job, a new work, a new assignment, whatever. confidence will come as soon as you start.
Mm.
So if you don't start, you will never be confident. So if you feel that, to your audience too, if you're right now in front of a choice and you have two options, one probably is going to be the easy option, right? So the comfortable option, the things that makes more sense logically. And then maybe you have another option that is on the back of your mind, is more risky, but also more rewarding to some extent, because it's going to get closer to your vision, to your goals, etc. So my personal suggestion is, don't worry if you don't feel you are ready right now, but take the choice that is going to make you better at the end of the day. So that has been essentially my life.
With that being said, Andrea, I need your advice on that, because a lot of the time and a lot of people will not make that decision. All right, they will go with the one that familiar and stick with the status quo, but then go to something that that's new, but they know that that better future there. Normally, they will be risk averse and not doing that. So, if is there any measurement, anything that you could advise our audience? Hey, go ahead and take that risk and enjoy the new path of career, new path of life, though.
There is, and for me it's really connecting three things in your life. So one is your passion. I strongly believe that the passion should be one of your biggest drivers. So there are many people, they say, and I don't agree with that a passion is not going to help you get so far. I don't agree. I think passion is one of the biggest motivators, and that has been proven by neuroscientists. So passion has to be there. So if you're doing something that you're not passionate about it, already forget about it. So it has to be passion, number one. The other thing has to be skills. So you need to have the skills that are going to allow you to take the jump, to take the risk, because that risk is not going to be just a very high risk with no probability to succeed. If you have the skills, that is what I call it, is a calculated risk. So it's a risk that you have calculated before, and you say that you have the skills, the stamina, and also the experience that are going to allow you to succeed later on. So passion number one, skills number two, and number three is the drive. So the drive has to be something important. Drive is another motivational factor. It's stuck with the different things, but the drive is our ability to stay resilient, to keep pushing, to do the hard work, to do whatever it takes, be committed with our own passion and our own goals. So without the drive, essentially what it sounds like a good idea for you will be just some kind of a hobby, and then you will leave at some point. But if you have a strong drive, you're going to make sure that specific new idea is going to become something real in the future. So passion, skills, and drive, in my experience, are those three big elements that are going to really make you comfortable to make the choice. But if you're just missing one of those three, it's going to be tough. It's going to be difficult, because you really need to, the passion, you can really do much on passion. Either you have it or don't have it, right? The drive, you might become a drive person, but it's the passion is going to drive the drive. So it's going to be leading the drive. Without the passion, at some point you might quit. And the skills is the easiest one, right? Because you can build anyway new skills in order to make sure that you can take the new challenge. However, if you start when you have all these three things already, that is going to really help you to make a much more comfortable decision to say yes to a new opportunity.
Wow, thanks. So passion, skills, and the drive, and this is something that we need to have it first, to do the calculated risk and take on something that challenging for us, right? Then it leads me to the question that we mentioned earlier in the conversation, talking to CEOs, people. Okay, so you were successful in the role that you had, right? And then been to the executive level. Then you decided to switch career onto something totally new. So back then, in the space of executive coaching, there's a lot of people already been there and for a long time
Yes.
successful story too. So you chose to go into the new area, then you chose to work in a very niche and like market where you only serve for the C people, C-suite level. And to me it's scary, because because these people are also people who's very successful, very and they had a lot of skill set. They definitely had the passion and the drive and a lot of motivation and inspiration for themselves. So how can you back then, as a new kid in the block for the executive coaching, being able to pursue it, the CEO, the CFOs, the CXO, whatever they are, like to take you and take your service?
It's a brilliant question. It's a brilliant question that actually we ask ourselves quite often.
Ah,
And what I can tell you, Noe, is really about your value, right? So what is your competitive advantage? Why you and not many others coaches that are in the industry? Or why a CEO, C-suite should have actually someone like me working alongside? I tell you this. So one thing that really helped me and makes a lot of sense with my clients is the fact that I speak in the same business language, because I've been there myself. I've been through the same issues they've been through. I I know exactly what they're feeling, what they're doing, and what they're thinking actually about the challenge they're having. So that's one thing. The second is, as most of my clients work anyway in the energy industry, and I didn't much specify this before, but when I said about my early career, it was been really in energy, oil energy. So most of my clients working anyway in the same space I've been too. So that's another reason why it's much easier to build chemistry and having an empathetic conversation and relation with the CEO. The other thing I would like to say is one of the biggest misconceptions about the CEOs in particular is the fact that they know everyone. They know everyone, they know everything, and they are super qualified and skilled to take any possible decision. In the reality, CEOs are human beings like us. So they're being through ups and downs. They are facing challenges every single day in their work, and they don't have enough space to vent, enough space to discuss these issues because for the nature of the role, for them it's difficult to open up with everyone, especially with other, even with their own executive team sometimes. So having someone like a sounding board, someone like, as I say, a leadership whisperer, someone that can really help him to go through these challenges in a very private setting, is really beneficial for the CEO. So in other words, a good executive coach for the CEOs is not really teaching anything. Doesn't need to teach or mentor the CEOs. But what he does, he offers to the CEOs an opportunity to open up, to discuss things that is impossible for them to discuss rather than at all. He offers also an opportunity to evaluate different ideas and decide together which one is the right one to take. As I always say, guys, for me, CEO is like a tennis player that is playing with a tennis ball machine, so he's practicing. So what happens if you trying to picture the situation is you're on the other side of the fence with a tennis racket, and you see this tennis ball machine launching balls, kicking balls, every 5 seconds or 10 seconds, whatever, right? That's how I think a CEO is feeling. You see all this ball, going through them, and they need to decide which one they need to pick, because they can't take all the balls. They need to decide which one to pick, which one is urgent, which one is a priority, which one is going to get the better shot for them, and in other words, is going to make the better return. So that's the life of CEO. And when you are alone in front of a tennis ball machine, it is challenging because you feel alone. So regardless your expertise, regardless your experience, regardless many years you've been in the industry, because honestly, the type of challenges that CEOs, other C-suite executives face every single day are most of the time are new. They're not something that they tried before. We were talking a bit more before about COVID, of course, but think about COVID situation. How many CEOs have been in that situation before? No one. So they all needed to face a new reality. And get important decision, make important decision based on zero data, right? So shall we close the door? Shall we call, ask employees to come back, and what's going to happen, and how people are going to work together? How, are we going to move into remote work forever? Are we going to go back to the office? All these big decisions, they are so difficult for even the Jack Welch of the world. So it doesn't really matter the expertise that you have before. So I think the a coach could be super valuable to make this decision, to help him going through all these storm and challenges they are facing. That's one thing at very personal level. The other element is more on organizational development. So, and again, CEOs, they need to build their own leadership team, executive team, but also they need to drive major change initiatives. That could be like the COVID, like how we're going to work now together in the organization. So there's so many changes. Imagine the digital transformation initiatives. Imagine all the cultural changes they need to face. Imagine when they're scaling, they need to put together teams that never worked before. Imagine when they're merging, acquiring other companies. Imagine when they're getting a bad review from a client, they need to change the way how they approach services. So all these big challenges, and that's normally when I get involved, they don't normally run in an organization just from the CEO itself. So the CEO needs help on going through this and having some sort of support and dealing with other people internally to help them as an advisor to go through these challenges. So CEOs have a very tough job, but also at the C-suite. So yeah, executive coaching could be an amazing opportunity for those CEOs. They want to go to the next level, but also they want to go through all these storms.
Wow. Andrea, and then your job is to deal with the people in the C office, and then one thing you mentioned is to open themselves up, right? The ability to connect with people and make sure that they open. The more they open, the more they share their personal issue, the work issues, and then that's where we can come in and help in. But in life, not just the CEO, in every relationship, between the manager and supervisor to the employees, ability to be opened up, and then have the employee to share also require a lot of good skills from the person who initiated that. So you're an expert in that. If I and Vivian want to work with somebody and have them to open themselves up and share more with us, how could how can we improve that ability though?
Well, that is tough. That's not easy because it really depends as well on the culture of the country where the company is operating, but also the culture internal in the organization. But here's the thing: it's the responsibility of the CEO building a culture that allows everyone to speak up, to open up, to be vulnerable. So that level of openness is not granted. Actually, many organizations, they don't feel the employees they can actually open up and say exactly what they think because there is a culture internally that prevents people from opening up. So it's not because people are introverted. It's because the culture in the organization doesn't allow them to speak up freely without any judgment. So the responsibility is honestly just of the CEO. It's the CEO that has to decide what kind of culture he wants to build for his entire organization. So that's one thing. The other thing is the culture, which is a consequence of building a culture. So deciding what culture you want to build is you as a CEO, you have to be the first. You have to be the role model here. So you have to be the first to open up and show to the entire organization that people, they can open up with them, right? How many times, guys, we have seen CEOs, they say they are open to receiving feedback, they're open to receiving recommendations, but as soon as they get one and they don't like it, they push back and say, no, I don't need your advice, etc., right? So the question is, how many CEOs and C-suite executives are there that are so open to receive a negative feedback, a constructive feedback? So not many because unfortunately this is when the role, the status and the ego kicks in, and when these things kick in, unfortunately they have a negative consequence of the ability of opening up. So yeah, that is the starting point. So if people are afraid to talk, it's not their fault, it's something else, much more subtle, much more deeper, unfortunately, is going on into the organization.
So if we want them to speak up and open up, then we have to be the first to open up and speak and share. Vivian, you look like you
Those
have a question, right?
Yeah, earlier you was talking about fulfillment.
Yes.
And that is very powerful term. A lot of us have different definitions. Some of us, even we are happy, we're still not thinking that either we fulfill yet or we still have something else to do. So during your earlier time before 2018, your calling, what do you feel when you are not having that fulfillment?
Oh, you feel stressed. You feel often stressed and frustrated about things. So you have some, of course, some ups and downs, but also some positive success in your work. That's fine. But they normally have very limited breadth, if you like. So as soon as you get a hype, you get a success, then you tend to forget quite quickly. Imagine when you have a pay rise, right? So the pay rise is going to give you a boost of dopamine because you're happy, you're going to get more money. But if you're not happy with what you're doing, in just a matter of really few days, maybe you already forgot about the pay rise because your thinking is more about, oh, yes, that's great. It's going to help me on fixing a few things, but I'm still not happy at work, right? I'm still not happy with my life. So it's a terrible feeling. So, and I think we all been there at some point in our life when we feel that, we need more, we deserve more, we need to achieve more, but we are stuck in a current situation, right? So my suggestion for those people they feel stuck right now is have a full clarity, really clarity of where you really want to be, where you want to go in your life. And that is more about not your personal goal right now, but your vision as a person, who you want to be in the future. So imagine that in 5 years' time, you are so happy with yourself. What needed to happen in order to allow you to be so happy in 5 years' time? So you need to understand exactly where you want to be. And then is really reverse engineering. So once you know what the vision is supposed to be, then go back and try to build as a reverse all the steps, all the goals, all the midterm goals that you need to achieve in order to get to the vision. And again, that's one thing. The other thing is, if you feel stuck right now, don't feel that you need to change your life from the get-go, because it doesn't really happen in that way. You might probably burn out, you might probably make the wrong choices if you feel that you have to get unstuck very quickly. That's not really, I think, a wise decision to make. The better decision to make is define first your vision, define what goals you need to achieve, and then slowly start working on your goals, maybe aside to start, and then as soon as you get some traction, you see some results, then you can make a better decision, say, I can live my current life and gonna go with my new life. The problem, guys, sometimes people, they feel, especially the younger generation, they feel that they have to change immediately if they don't like something. And I understand the pressure of changing because we feel that someone else is waiting for us, or a better vision is waiting for us. I understand that. However, the risk of making wrong decision when you are into that mood is much higher than when you feel quiet and conscious about the decision you are making, right? So sometimes, and that's very important, by the way, these days, you have read about, the Great Resignation, of course. So what's going on with people? So what now, finally, we are realizing, and many people, they have left the organization because they didn't feel good enough there, they didn't feel fulfilled as well. They left and then they regretted because they were looking for, they got attracted by maybe a salary increase, maybe a few benefits, but now they're regretting, most of them regretting because, that was a maybe too quick decision, I should have waited, because now I don't feel, I was expecting something and now I'm getting something completely different, even worse than where I was before. So these things happen when we don't have a plan in life. So we are seeking the short-term win, short-term opportunities just because we are not feeling happy with where we are. But if we have a vision and specific goals, we need to accept the fact that we need time to get to these goals. We need time to get to the vision. Nothing in life is going to happen so soon. So we need to be patient. And unfortunately, many, especially young generation, they don't have probably enough patience. So they tend to make some mistakes when they make these decisions. I mean, they still have a lot of time to deal with these problems and making better decisions in the future. But I think, as a suggestion, think twice, build your vision, build your goal first, and then go through this.
It takes a lot of.
Exactly. I think the word clarity, the word clarity is very important. Yeah.
It takes a lot of strength and great courage to stay in the bowl a little longer, because jump off is very easy. There's an opportunity out there that can be attractive, but now if you stay a little bit longer and be a little bit more curious of what we want to be doing, and perhaps there's a lot of great things that we yet see and instead looking outside. Earlier you said one word that very very important, and it's been stuck with Vivian and I over the past couple of days, since Friday of last week, and that was believe. Okay, because you changed your career, you changed the opportunity, you capture it because you believe that you can do that. And then we happen to meet quite some people that holding the position that their job supposed to be changing the organization for a better way. Okay, and the initiative they do, the works that they need to be doing, the role and the responsibilities on their shoulders, require them to think and do and have the belief that their works matter and their works can contribute to the important change for the people. But that belief is not there every time that you and I talk to them. So the works become a checklist, and then when we ask them, why is that the checklist seems to be, and can you go beyond that and try to do something that you truly want for your pupil. And there was a lot of reason, like that we've been receiving from as a response from them, like been there, done that, try already, and it's not working, and there's no guarantee for working. And since Friday, it's really stuck with Vivian and I to tell them that, hey, if it's not working in the past, doesn't mean that's not gonna work now. And then if it's not working in the past, it may be because the way that we did it in the past did not work properly. So if we want to inject something positively for them to have that belief once again, what should we do, Andrea?
So that's critical, because one of the, and by the way, this is what sometimes coaches do with clients, is changing the beliefs, right? We call it limiting beliefs, because sometimes we all have limiting beliefs. So beliefs that either we are not good enough, because there are two different types of beliefs here, right? So one is beliefs that are limiting our abilities, our possibilities, because we think we are not good enough, we are not equipped, we are not skilled enough, we will never be able to do it, we are terrible, we're bad, we're losing every single time that we play. So these are limiting beliefs, right? And then there are other type of beliefs that are actually even more dangerous, in my opinion. Are those beliefs that you were mentioning, is when we believe that we are strong enough, we are so good, we're gonna win everything. So in other words, is building the ego, because it's to some extent building this belief help you to build your confidence. But if that's too much, then you're gonna start over believing about your ability to succeed, and that's what's gonna happen. You're gonna start missing opportunities. You are not going to look enough in front of people. In other words, you are not building your own self-awareness, because self-awareness is the number one thing that everyone should build in order to understand where he wants to be and where he wants to go in life. Because if we don't know each other, if we don't know ourselves, right, it's so difficult to understand what are our blind spots, what are our strengths, what are our weaknesses. We need to understand ourselves first. So those people, they have these strong beliefs, either limiting beliefs or powerful beliefs that may be too much powerful, they don't normally have work a lot in their own self-assessment, self-awareness. They probably estimate the importance of something. They underestimate the how much effort they need to put in something. So we need to understand where we are, who we are first. So most of the work that we do as a coaches at the beginning of our normal engagement is actually that, is building some sort of self-awareness. And self-awareness is done through, personal assessment, but you do also by interviewing people, asking people how we perform, how we work in life, how we do things. Because we need to understand how other people perceive our way of working. And that's normally is very powerful, because most of the time when you do this exercise, people, my clients and coaches, normally realize that the perception of themselves outside is much, much better, higher than what they think about themselves, right? Like we think, oh, I'm not good enough. But then when you ask people around them, they say, oh, it's definitely good enough. It's very good enough. But we have this limiting beliefs sometimes based on our personal experiences, and normally failures, bad experience, they normally make us look more or less confident or more vulnerable in that perspective.
Wow.
So that's why it's important work on the self-awareness, because self-awareness is going to really put everything on the table. So we know exactly how we feel, who we are, we know what other people feel about us, and then we also understand the context. So that is the number one thing. And then if we realize that our personal perception, the belief, is very different than the belief of others about us, that's when it's time to reframe our beliefs, because we need to reframe the beliefs. Reframing the beliefs means that we need to get the limiting belief and try to see, okay, what is another way to see the same thing? So, for example, I'm not good enough. What is a way to reframe this belief and start thinking, now that we know people believe in us, it's just really us that, we don't believe to ourselves, right? So that's the time when we start thinking about reframing our own belief. What is other way to talk to ourselves? What is the language that we need to change? What are the things, the new habits that we need to build in order to change those beliefs? Like, I'm not good enough of losing weight because I can't do any exercise. No, you can. So it's changing your routines, changing your action, but by taking very small steps instead of thinking about running a marathon. So it's a number of different things that you can activate to change your beliefs. So reframing, changing your habits, changing your environment, which is also very important to change your inner circle. So there are different strategies to use, manifesting, journaling, that you can do in order to change your beliefs. But again, the limiting beliefs are equally dangerous than those beliefs that are going to make you like a Superman. They're going to look like a Superman because you're not a Superman. Because as soon as you're going to get a failure or a setback when you feel you're a Superman, you're deep in the valley. Your journey to the valley is going to be much, much deeper than any average people, right? Because if we all start on this ground floor all together and we have a setback, we go here, maybe just 1 meter, 2 meters down, right? But if we are on the top of the mountain, we feel that we are invincible, we are so great, we are wonderful. If we get a setback, we're not just going 1 meter down, we're going to go 10 meters down, because the fall, right, the high is it's bigger, right? So we need to understand that we need to play the ground field all together. So neither we are too bad, neither we are too good. So let's try to play even, because that's the way how we do things. So beliefs are dangerous, could be important, but we need to be very balanced in the way how we use our beliefs.
Balance it and then reframe it. Reframe the belief that we are having. I have two last questions for you, Andrea, and the first one is related to the works that you've been doing. You had the privilege to work with a lot of CEOs and the people in the C-suite level, and what is a common thing that these people are needing help with, though?
So we touched on this a little bit earlier, but so first of all, I think is the feeling of isolation, feeling isolated at work. Feeling isolated because, again, they can't speak with many people, they can't say what they think most of the time. So having, again, a sounding board is super critical. So that's probably the number one thing. The other thing is prioritization. So many CEOs have different priorities, different opportunity, different way of doing things, but sometimes they are not sure they are making the right priority, so they need maybe some support of going through the decision-making process, understanding what really they need to work on it. So these are, let's say, the number two. The other thing that's very important right now is CEOs, they feel that there is a very poor execution in the organization. So execution is a big thing, is a problem. It's a problem across industries, across countries. So this feeling of people not able to execute their ideas, their visions, and that's going to be a problem. And that is a problem. Now, normally when it comes to execution, the problem is bigger than we think, because we need to understand why people they are not executing enough. And when we start going, so that's kind of a work normally we do the CEOs. So we do a little bit of diagnostics to talk to their people, talk to their teams, understanding what is happening to a specific thing, why we feeling that we are not getting the result that we want. So after normally a phase of diagnostic, I normally report back to the CEO and say, that's what I realized by talking to the CEO, to other people, to the team, to your employees. And normally that is going to give us some specific ideas what to work on with the teams. So essentially try to understand what's the root cause, and once you have the root cause clear, then you start building some specific leadership program or strategic program with the CEOs in order to go to tackle the challenge. Now, the CEO is not able to do this, and no one else in the organization, for a very simple reason. Because external coaches, they are agnostic. They are not supposed to know anything about the business. They're not supposed to know anything about the industry, if you like. So they come without any preconception. And the other thing is, normally people in organization, they feel much more comfortable to talk to the external CEO, or to the external coach, because he's an external guy. Is not playing with the CEO, is not a deputy CEO, etc. Of course, they know there is a reporting, but it's always anonymous. So there is they feel safe. They feel much safer talking to a coach. So essentially, isolations, prioritizations, and then execution. These are the three things that are normally the bigger topics. But then sometimes depends as well on the type of CEO. Because if it's the first time CEO has a different set of challenges, then the CEO they've been there for many years. The first time CEO is more about his personal leadership, his executive presence, his ability to speak, to influence others. So it really depends on the challenge of the situation.
Thank you. So isolation, priority, and execution, the three common things that you see CEO are dealing have with. Besides the part that different type of CEO, we have a different set of expectation and want to improvements. The last question I want to ask is related to thinking. So Vivian and I, have the belief that the ability to think for people around us these days actually is not increasing but decreasing. So every chance that we talk to experts like your works require you to do a lot of thinking. So we want to extract that secret sauce from you. And so Andrea, how do you force yourself to think?
Wonderful question. Is one of the questions that I love, by the way, answering, because I've been thinking a lot myself about how to become a better thinker, a strategic thinker, because that's what I normally do as well with the teams. So I tell you my secret sauce. I don't know whether it's a secret sauce, but the best thinking happens to me when I don't do any work. So, but primarily when I do walking. So for me, walking has been incredible opportunity for thinking more strategic about things. So one of my habits, guys, is I go walking every single day for 1 hour, regardless my commitment, regardless my things. So for me, that's non-negotiable. So that 1 hour is incredible powerful, because in that 1 hour, just for me, I have a free mind, and I let my mind go wherever it wants. And normally the best ideas I get are coming from this 1 hour time. So the secret essentially is, regardless, could be walking, could be showering, could be playing guitar, doesn't really matter, but finding a time out of your schedule of your day just for yourself, and don't put pressure of finding an idea, finding a solution, because it will never happen in that way. Right? Actually think about something else, but because your mind anyway is connected to the problem, so sooner or later, even if you're thinking something else, it will come. It will come. The new idea will come. So really find the time to not think about the problem, not think about the business. It's critical. And if you see many people right now in the organizations, they don't have even a time to breathe. Imagine how much time they have to think strategically about a problem. So it's essentially zero, nothing. So one of the mistakes I think sometimes leaders, executives do is not giving people enough time for resting, for relaxing, because these are normally the time when they get the better thinking. That's one strategy. The other strategy, guys, is reading, and then reading. So reading is learning, and when you stop learning, you stop winning. So reading is important because as soon as you improve your reading, you improve your thinking anyway. And reading is actually, if associated with writing, is even better, because writing is going to be helping you to declutter what is your mind and to put in writing and put in real context what are you thinking. Sometimes we have such incredible, fantastic thoughts, but because they stay here, they don't see the light, then we forget them, we're not able to convert them into something practical. So writing is an amazing tool to convert an idea into a practical step.
Wow. So, go for a walk, give yourself time to not even thinking, and then you find a solution, because your head already had that, issue, then you already had the desire to find a solution. Then reading, and then writing. So Andrea, thanks a lot for the very fruitful conversation that we are having today, and that's so much for Vivian and I to learn, to reflect, and for the audience to also pick things that works for them, that they need to have that thinking on, and and then from the thinking to the doing, so that can be executed to their lives. And I really admire many other things that you got accomplished, and I really wish that for the new time to come, then there will be more things that you will be doing excitingly that you can share to the people around you and to us. Okay.
Well, thank you so much for the nice words, and thank you so much for the conversation. I really enjoyed it, because talking about these things makes my life much better, because first of all, it's reconnecting with ourselves, with our story, and thanks for your beautiful question. But also, you asked question that brought me back to the base of why we do what we do, and thinking more strategic about what we say. So thanks, because that has been really a fascinating conversation. And again, good luck for the show and for your program, because you are interviewing great people, and that is an incredible way to motivate people, to help people to get unstuck, as we said before, and to achieve their dreams in their life.
Thank you very much. You have a beautiful day. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, Andrea. Thanks, Vivian, too.